Less than 1% of the water absorbed by roots is utilized in photosynthesis. Cactus is an unusual plant adapted to grow in extremely hot and dry environment. Their stems have developed into green fleshy structures. They act as reservoir for water and become photosynthetic. The leaves are modified into spines to prevent loss of water through transpiration.
Parasitic fungi attack several crops, cultivated plants, ornamental and many wild plants, often causing serious diseases in them. Rusts and smuts are common examples. They are known as plant pathogens.
When you visit a hospital, you will often notice patients getting intravenous nutrition. The glucose goes directly to the blood and is utilized by the body cells. An adult secretes about 1.5 liters saliva a day.
The third molars are also called wisdom teeth. These are the last molar teeth of each side in both the jaws. So, an adult denture will have 4 wisdom teeth. It is so called because it usually appears when a person is between 18 to 20 years of age. The entrance of the esophagus and windpipe is guarded by a flap-like structure, the epiglottis. This acts like a policeman, helping in controlling and directing food and air along proper channels. In swallowing, it closes the passage of windpipe, thus preventing food from entering the lungs.
Excessive acidic secretions irritate the lining of the stomach. Secretions of mucus that protects the inner lining is also diminished. Ultimately, the stomach lining is eroded, causing lesions known as peptic ulcer.
Small intestine is not really small. It is the longest part of the alimentary canal, measuring 7.5 meter in length and 2.5 centimeter in diameter. It is a coiled and tubular structure. The first portion of small intestine is the duodenum, which is the most important site of digestion. In the lower portion of small intestine, the ileum, absorption of digested food takes place.
Alcohol is directly absorbed by the stomach and carried by bloodstream straight to brain cells on which it acts. Natural fibers of animal origin are mostly protein fibers, while those of plant source like cotton and jute are starch-based. The thickness of the wool fiber corresponds to the number of crimps. Fine wool like merino have up to 100 crimps per inch. Because of the crimps, these fine merino wools cause the product to retain a lot of heat. Alpacas belonging to camel family produce wool in more than 22 different colors. Mating of animals of 2 different varieties having desired characteristics so as to pass these characters uniformly to offspring is known as crossbreeding. This is done by the technique of hybridization. Thus, we get superior breed of animals. India is far behind in the production of fine quality wool, so it depends on imports from wool producing countries like Australia and New Zealand. Silk was produced first in China more than 5,000 years ago. The production of silk in Europe began in 590 AD and around 300 AD in India. Silkworm spins approximately 1 mile of filament and completely encloses itself in a cocoon in about 2 to 3 days. About 5,500 silkworms are required to produce 1 kilogram of silk. The prized shimmering effect produced by silk is because of triangular prism-like structure of silk and effect of light on it. We feel cold during winter months because the temperature of the surroundings is much lower than our body temperature, and our body loses heat to the surroundings. In response to high environmental temperature, especially during summer, our body gains heat from the surroundings. As our body temperature rises, we begin to sweat. The evaporation of water from sweat removes large quantity of heat from the body surface and cools the body. In this way, sweating helps to maintain our body temperature. Fahrenheit DG was a German merchant of scientific instrument. He designed the scale known by his name. Cooking utensils are made of metals so that heat from flame is conducted to food inside efficiently. Some utensils even have copper bases, as it is a better conductor of heat than steel or aluminium. The handles of most utensils are made of wood or plastics, which are poor conductors of heat. Other bad conductors of heat are cork, paper, thermocol, air, and water. Convection currents are set in the molten outer core inside the earth due to heat from the solid inner core having a temperature of about 4000 degrees Celsius. It is thought that these convection currents generate the earth's magnetic field. The earth's atmosphere screens many harmful radiations from the sun. A portion of the sun's heat reaching the earth by radiation is absorbed and heats the atmosphere and other objects by the process of convection and conduction. Heat as electromagnetic radiation of about 100,000 million, 10 raised to power 17 joules, reaches Earth from the Sun every second by radiation. The vast space between Sun and Earth is free of any matter, yet we get this much heat. This proves that radiation does not need any medium. The sting of ants and bees contain formic acid, which it uses as self-defense. Carbonic acid, responsible for tangy taste of the cola drinks, is formed by dissolving carbon dioxide in water. Car batteries contain sulfuric acid, a strong acid stored in acid-resistant vessel. This acid can cause painful burn on your skin and damage clothing. Do not touch it.
Hydrofluoric acid is an acid that reacts with glass and hence stored in plastic bottles.
Household ammonia used to wash windows or glasswares is a solution of ammonia in water. This is an alkali. Saliva in your mouth is basic in nature. Blood, when healthy, is also a base, and so is bile secreted from gallbladder. Alkalis are very corrosive. A suspension of lime in water called lime water is used to whitewash walls. Never mix lime in water with bare hand. The strong alkali can corrode your skin. The sting of wasps contain an alkali and it is so painful. Litmus is a commonly used indicator in the laboratory. It is available as strips or solutions. It is extracted from lichen, a unique symbiotic plant. When extracted in distilled water, it is light purple in color. It turns red in acid and blue in alkali solutions. The lower the pH value of an acid, the stronger it is. The higher the pH value of an alkali, the stronger it is. Acid rain can have pH of 6.3. Human blood has pH of 7.3. Milk of magnesia has a pH of 10.5. Reactions that produce heat are called exothermic reactions. Some reactions absorb heat. They are called endothermic reactions. Matter. We can also define matter as a form of energy which has the property of mass and occupies space at a particular time. Colloids. Colloids are mixture of matter in which large particles are suspended in solid, liquid or gas phase. Hair gel. Solid suspended in a liquid. Shaving foam. Air suspended in a liquid. Mist. Liquid suspended in gas. It may be interesting to note that the shredding of paper to howsoever small pieces is a physical change, but burning of paper is a chemical change. Melting of wax is a physical change, but burning of wax is a chemical change. Changing of water to ice or steam is a physical change, but changing of water to hydrogen and oxygen gases by passing an electric current is a chemical change. The brown melted substance after heating the sugar on cooling gives a beautiful aroma. This is caramel used as flavoring agent in sweets. The corrosion of aluminium is very slow because aluminium oxide forms a protective coat which protects the remaining aluminium. This process is called passivation. It is estimated that about 15% of the total world production of iron is destroyed due to rusting and corrosion. Seawater containing many salts aggravates the process of rusting. Ships suffer a lot of damage in spite of being painted. Thus, rusting causes great loss to the nation's economy. A supersaturated solution is a temporarily stable state as it holds more dissolved solute than is required to saturate the solution. A cube of 1 mile of seawater will have 120 million tons of common salt, 45 tons of silver and 25 tons of gold. The Salt March to Dandi. On March 12, 1930, Gandhiji undertook the famous Salt March from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi in Gujarat to make salt without paying salt tax to the British. This was a very important event in our struggle for independence. The weather stations all over the world are linked by a satellite network for exchanging information on weather. During summer, the temperature for Delhi may be as high as 44 degrees Celsius. One can get a sunstroke at these temperatures if precaution is not taken. Antarctica is a natural laboratory for carrying out scientific research in various fields. The first Indian expedition to Antarctica was sent off from Goa in 1981. India has become a member of the Antarctic Treaty in 1983 and was admitted as a member of Scientific Committee on Antarctic Research in 1986. Some fish in the polar region have anti-freeze molecules in their body which protect them from freezing in extreme cold. The keratin fur of polar bear is transparent with a hollow core. It absorbs the UV light of sun which provides it with extra warmth. Polar bears have a unique thermoregulation system. They are so well protected against cold that they can often get overheated. They cool down by moving slowly, resting and dropping in cold water. Heat is also released from areas where there is thin fur coat as nose, ear, foot pad and inner thigh. Penguins are the only birds that migrate hundreds of kilometers by swimming. They can drink salty water without any ill effects. They have much better vision underwater. On land, they are almost short-sighted. An earthworm can ingest up to 36 times its own weight of soil each day. Air in the soil has less O2 and more CO2 than in the atmosphere.
Roots take in air for respiration. That is why the soil near the roots need to be loosened for proper respiration to take place. Earthworms and other burrowing animals help in loosening the soil.
During respiratory tract infections, RTI, often the cilia hairs on the inner linings of bronchi are paralyzed. The lack of ciliary movement makes it a site of bacterial growth. Moreover, dust particles cannot be filtered out of the inhaled air. The person finds difficult to breathe. The RTI can be cured by antibiotic treatment. In an average day, a person breathes in and out up to 13,000 liters of air. First, breath. As a baby is born, the breathing movements inflate its lungs. A natural chemical called surfactant helps the alveoli to inflate. All this may be helped by pats on the back and cries of the baby. Small creatures like shrews have a faster metabolism and need a lot of energy for their body size. Larger animals like elephants need less energy for their size.
Phagocytosis, cell eating. It is a mean of defense against foreign bodies like bacteria, dust and dead cells by the white blood cells. The WBC engulf the invading foreign bodies by showing amoeboid movement. They gave out thin-walled projections called pseudopodia that fuse to form a vesicle enclosing the foreign body. In amoeba, phagocytosis is a process for engulfing food particle.
The output of each ventricle per beat is 70 milliliter. For an athlete, it may be double of this amount. With 72 beats per minute, the ventricle pumps 5 liters of blood per minute. This is called cardiac output. For a normal person in a lifespan of 70 years, a heart pumps 1 million liters of blood. If all the capillaries in an adult body were connected end to end, they would stretch for about 96,000 kilometers. In just one day, the urinary system cleans your blood over 400 times. Did you know that the fleshy edible part of apple and pear is not a true fruit? The thalamus actually grows round the ovary and becomes fleshy in the fruit. Such a fruit is known as false fruit. Orchids bear the smallest seeds in the vegetable kingdom. In cinchona, the quinine-yielding plant, there are 2,500 seeds to a gram. Electricity is conducted through wire at a speed of about 150,000 km per second, but the nerve impulse in our body travels at a maximum speed of about 100 meters per second only. Our quest for accuracy has led to the usage of crystal clocks and atomic clocks. In modern clocks and watches, the vibrations of quartz crystals control the movement of balance wheels. These are more accurate than mechanical watches. Quartz crystals are subjected to an alternating electric field which produces an extremely fixed oscillation. These steady oscillations make the study pieces very accurate. The caesium atomic clock has an error ratio of not more than 1 second in every 6,000 years. The time scale is derived from the vibration of atoms in atomic clocks. Galileo Galilei, 1564 to 1642, is known as the father of science for his various contributions as an astronomer, physicist, and philosopher. This Italian scientist discovered the first mechanical clock by observing a swinging lamp suspended by a long chain in the church at Pisa. Using the beat of his pulse as a clock, he noticed that the time of swing, one complete to and fro motion, remained constant irrespective of the lamp's distance from mean position. Galileo realized the importance of constant time of swing of the pendulum of a given length and that this could be used to run a clock more accurately. The first pendulum clock was made in 1657. Smart eco-friendly bulbs. The traditional light bulbs waste electricity as heat produced in these bulbs is wasteful. This can be reduced by using new alternatives such as compact fluorescent lamps, CFLs. It uses only 20% of the energy used by an ordinary light bulb to provide the same amount of light. Replacing conventional bulbs with CFLs would thus save a huge quantity of power. Less power consumed means lesser emission of CO2 and other pollutants from coal-fired power plants. Iron is called a soft magnetic material because it loses its magnetism easily. Steel is called a hard magnetic material because it does not lose its magnetism so easily. Therefore, iron is used in making electromagnets, whereas steel is used to make permanent magnets. The nerve impulse is a wave of electrical disturbances that sweeps from one nerve cell to the other in order that messages are conducted throughout the body to sense the environment. These electrical impulses produce a very weak magnetic field of about 1/1000th as weak as Earth's magnetic field. The atmosphere exerts about 15 tons. 1 ton is equals to 1000 kg of air pressure against a person. The winds that blow out of the region of Indian Ocean follow the direction of prevailing trade winds, which is SE direction. As soon as they cross the equator, they are deflected by Coriolis force and they blow a southwest monsoon. Meteorologists infer that temperature changes brought about by global warming can cause an increase in frequency of storms. As a natural happening, the movement of cyclone is in an anti-clockwise direction in northern hemisphere while it is clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Light enables us to see things but is itself not visible. That is why astronauts in space see only darkness, though there is light of the sun streaming all around. Any smooth, polished surface that can reflect the rays of light in the same medium is called mirror. Metals like silver, aluminium, nickel or stainless steel make the best mirrors. In olden days, particularly during war times, messages were exchanged by reflecting light beams using mirrors. The speed of light depends on the nature of the medium. In space or vacuum, the speed of light is 3 lakh km per second, which is the highest speed. In air, it is only marginally less. In water, the speed of light is about 2,25,000 km per second, whereas in glass, it is reduced to only about 1,80,000 km per second. The rod cells are sensitive to dim light and do not respond to color. The cones are sensitive to bright light and are responsible for color vision. Self-closing taps are reliable water-conserving gadgets installed at public places like malls and multiplexes, call centers and railway stations. These taps automatically shut off when not in use and avoid wastage of water. Himalayas are a great water resource with a total snow cover of about 16,000 square kilometers. There are more than 15,000 glaciers providing water to a number of rivers like Brahmaputra.
Indian rivers can be classified into A. Himalayan group. Example: Ganga, Brahmaputra, Indus. B. Deccan rivers. Example: Godavari, Krishna, Mahanadi.
If your house rooftop measures 25 square meters and you reside in a region that receives 50 centimeter rainfall annually, the runoff water from such roof will be about 12,500 liters per year. This water can be used by a family of 4 members for about 2 months. In 50 years, one tree generates rupees 2 lakh worth of oxygen, recycles rupees 15 lakhs worth of water and removes rupees 20 lakhs worth of air pollution. As a first step towards making the people forest conscious, a nationwide celebration of an annual tree planting festival called Van Mahotsav is done every year on 5th July. In order to protect global biodiversity and encourage the study and management of endangered species, the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) and the World Conservation Monitoring Center (WCMC) maintain a global list of endangered and vulnerable animal species called the Red List. The United Nations has declared the period 2005 to 2015 as the International Decade for Action on Water for Life. Indiscriminate use of pesticides in higher than recommended quantity is a major cause of groundwater pollution in some districts.